The slugging percentage. He's controlled left-handed hitters, but right-handers slugging at a 741 clip. They really have to keep the ball down and into the right-handers.
But Baker did extremely well in the second half of last year. He was 11-4, and he pitched so well that they thought, well, this young guy should be the top guy for us going into 2009. But it just has not been there for him so far as he throws a called strike to Craig Counsell. And we are underway. That is the thing that's particularly remarkable, is all of these home runs he's given. And foul back and out of play.
Yeah, Scott Baker last year, the 3.45 ERA was 8th in the American League. But this year, 10 home runs in 38 2/3 innings. That home run ball, as Steve said, all right-handed hitters. And it's not about getting ahead. Twins pitchers get ahead an awful lot. They first pitch strike oriented. But it's the finished pitch that has really hurt Scott Baker.
And the slider is just off the inside. He's given up a lot of those home runs on what you would call pitcher's counts, where he's ahead of the count.
And we talked to Joe Mauer about that. He said he's just not making a good pitch, where Ron Gardenhire would like him to bury a breaking ball in the dirt. He's left it up in the zone, and he's paid a price for it.
To shortstop. And Punto throws him out. And that is Busher at first base rather than Morneau, who is the DH tonight. Counsell retired.
Well, with the defense now for the Twins, you see Delman Young out there. Denard Span was scheduled to start, but some flu-like symptoms. Delman Young back from bereavement leave. And on the infield, Nick Punto, the glove man. Not a lot of bat at shortstop. Mr. Busher playing first base tonight for Mr. Morneau, giving him a little rest. He's DHing, and Joe Mauer behind the plate. That golden glove.
And Casey McGee with a foul back to the screen. Strike one. We'll see a lot of that, as you mentioned. A lot of strike one and very few walks, because that is the way the Twins do it. They, as a staff, have walked fewer than any other staff in either league.
Well, the Twins have not made an error behind Scott Baker this year. Now, a big part of that is because he's such a significant fly ball pitcher. Now, hence the 10 home runs. But outfield defense comes into play much more when he's on the mound than the infield defense.
Casey McGee, who is from Santa Cruz, California, had originally been with the Cubs and was claimed on waivers from the Cubs after last season. McGee got into 9 games with the Cubs, his only other big league experience. But he is hitting .308 in limited duty so far for the Brewers. Along the right field line, Kadayu in foul ground, and McGee is out number 2.
Well, defense is such a big thing with the Minnesota Twins. They're so fundamentally sound, and Joe Mauer made one of the plays that you'll never forget. This play on May 17th against the Yankees. Tie score in the 9th inning, a comebacker. Brett Gardner on second base. Mauer fakes the throw, checks the runner, and now dives back. That's the bottom of the 9th, 2-2 tie, 1 out, and he makes that kind of athletic play. You won't see that. It kind of rivals the Derek Jeter flip play back from the playoffs, when Jeter ends up in a place you would never expect him, and with athleticism you rarely see.
So 2 down, and here comes Ryan Braun, the young Brewers slugger. And the slider is off the outside. Braun, 34 home runs as a rookie. He only played 113 games. It was about this time that he was making his debut. In fact, this is almost the 2nd anniversary of his first big league game. He hit 34 home runs in that partial season, and followed that up with 37 more last year. And Ryan Braun has been one of the most prolific home run hitters at the start of a career, the first 2 full seasons of a career in the history of the game.
And very consistent as well. A guy that hits for average and hits for power. That unique combination.
Looked like he got a hanger that time, but a foul ball, and Joe Mauer takes it. Prince Fielder stranded on deck. Joe Mauer will be coming up second. Morneau right behind him. The power comes up almost immediately for the Twins when we come back.
Day to my beautiful wife, Jamie, and my 3 lovely kids, Kai, Alan, and Ariana. Happy Memorial Day. I love you guys. See you soon.
And as we pause this Memorial Day weekend to honor our fallen heroes, ESPN would also like to acknowledge those serving overseas as we speak, and many in harm's way. Tonight, throughout our telecast, we will feature greetings from service personnel. Our thoughts and best wishes to all of them. Ron Gartenhire in the corner of the Twins dugout. And let's take a look at his batting orders presented by Taco Bell. It'll be Gomez, the speedster, center field. Then Mauer and Morneau, the sluggers. Kadire hit for the cycle here on Friday night. They got a lineup full of hot hitters as Gomez takes ball 1 from Dave Bush. Gomez was not originally in the starting lineup. Denard Span was originally in there. He's the Twins' regular leadoff man. He got the flu-like symptoms, and so he's out. I mentioned those first 4. Creedy, former White Sox third baseman, at third base. Brian Busher at first. Brendan Harris at second. Delman Young just back with the ball club after the death of his mother. He's in left field. Nick Punto, the shortstop, hits 9th. Count is now 3-0 to Carlos Gomez. Dave Bush has been outstanding as a starter for the Brewers, with heavier responsibilities than in the past, with both Ben Sheets and CC Sabathia no longer with the Brewers.
No, he's been great, but he's a strike thrower, and he starts off Gomez with 3 straight balls, somewhat atypical for this control pitcher.
And to the shortstop, that is Counsell. 1 away.
We'll take a look at Dave Bush in the year he's had so far. 3-0 record, and an outstanding ERA, holding the opponent's batting average. You look at that, 236, but with runners in scoring position, the opponent's only hitting 200 against him. Quality start, 6 innings with 3 or less runs, so he's obviously been very good there. And look at how efficient he is. He throws strikes. He goes right at him. His goal is to retire a hitter on 3 pitches or less, and he's been very effective at doing that so far this year.
Well, now here is Joe Mauer to face Dave Bush, and Mauer only played in 21 games, but he's hitting .429, and in 77 at bats he has 9 homers, 5 doubles, and 28 runs batted in. That's 28 RBIs in only 21 games. Mauer missed the not quite a month, first 3 weeks plus of the season with an injury, but he's already, for him, put up a season's worth of home run power, that's for sure.
Yeah, he has. You have to go back to 1964, Willie Mays, to find somebody who started their first 21 games this hot. And what an addition to the lineup to get him back from the joint stiffness in his back.
That one is really hit on its way. Upper deck! A tape measure shot from Mauer, his 10th home run.
Has now surpassed his total from last season. 9 home runs last year, now 10 home runs and 78 at-bats this season. You see the last 2 pitches of this at-bat. Here's the pitch, a cut fastball inside. He takes it, sizing it up a little bit. You see them set up inside, coming inside again. And how Joe Mauer pulls his hands inside. Watch, he pulls his hands inside to be able to get the big part of the bat to the ball and drives it out of the park.
You know, with the location of that pitch, Steve, the pulling of the hands in was so key because most hitters will pull that ball foul and come around it. Got his hands inside and drove that ball to right center.
Justin Morneau, the power hitter, former American League MVP. Morneau has 12 home runs, 36 runs batted in. He began the day tied for 3rd in the league in home runs, tied for 4th in the league in RBIs. And the curveball kind of flies out of the hands of Bush. And the count is 2-1.
We're talking about it. Watch the hands right here. Keeps him in close to his body, following his hip turn. Instead of allowing that top arm to bar out and come around the ball, he gets that top hand inside the ball, keeps it close to his body, which gives the ball backspin instead of side hooking spin. And most hitters on that inside pitch like that, especially a cutter, would really pull that ball foul with a bailing action.
Here at the Metrodome, that is a rare feat to hit one in the upper deck way out there in right center. You see it down the line usually, or sometimes it's straight away right. That would bring Twins fans back to the days of Ken Herbeck to see somebody launch one upper tank way out in right center like that.
And you see the numbers for Joe Mauer there, how the home run production has been there this season. A phenomenal step in his development. He was always a guy, he would take that inside pitch in the past and he would inside out hit it to left field. But now he's learned in certain pitches, in certain counts, look for a pitch in a zone and try to drive the ball. That's how young players develop. Hit for average first, line to line, then learn how to pull the ball.
Here's Michael Kadire. And a called strike at the knees on the outside from Bush. Kadire is another of the Twins run producers, and he is on a roll right now. Overall hitting .292, 7 homers, 30 batted in. But he had consecutive 4-hit games this week, Thursday and Friday. And in the Friday game, he hit for the cycle. And that is a sinker at the knees for a called strike 2. And it's 0-2. Morneau at first after the walk. Joe Mauer had never, until this year, been, as you guys mentioned, a home run hitter. The most home runs he's ever hit in a full year was 13. That was 3 years ago, 2006. This is only the second time he's ever hit more than 9 in a full season. Counts to the second one, and the relay back to first, double play. The turn by McGee at second, and Kadire hits into an inning-ending double play. But the Twins have jumped ahead on the booming home run by Mauer. Prince Fielder coming up for the Brewers. Sunday Night Baseball. I'm John Miller with Steve Phillips and Oral Hershiser. Joe Morgan has the weekend off. Here we go to the second inning, and Prince Fielder leads off. He fouls one right back to the screen. Fielder, the slugging first baseman, a 50 home run man the year before last, hitting .270, 9 homers, 40 batted in. Also gets a lot of walks. Fielder began the day among the National League leaders in RBIs. And number 2, in fact, in the league, and also number 2 in the league in walks.
The 36 walks so far, and that has been a big deal with the Brewers this year. The discipline they've shown at the plate. Dale Svem right there in the middle. Their hitting coach now.
This is in foul ground. Down the line after it goes Creedy right to the railing, and he has it, and he holds it. Nice play.
Now you have to remember, we've got a big power-hitting left-handed hitter at the plate. So they're shifted around for Prince Fielder. Joe Crede has a long way to run to go after this ball. He does a nice job of tracking it like an outfielder would, checking where the wall is. Remember, that's over near the bullpen area here. He gets right to the wall, does not take his eye off the ball. He feels the wall, knows where it is, and able to hold on and make the play. Nice catch. And Prince says, yeah, man.
He may start taking our presence personally as Mike Cameron swings and misses. We had the Brewers on against the Cubs early on this year, and Fielder looked like he had himself a home run, and he got robbed by Reed Johnson, one of the great catches of the year. And I'll never forget Fielder, who grew up in and around the game, and even as he was being robbed, he still tipped his cap to Reed Johnson as if to say, okay, I appreciate that. That was pretty good.
He did. It was an unbelievable catch, too, but that showed some sportsmanship there. Although I think the next time Reed Johnson came to the plate, he got plunked with a pitch. I'm not sure the pitcher appreciated it.
And Scott Baker strikes out Mike Cameron. 2 down.
I'll take it back to the swing from Joe Mauer. Watch how he keeps his hands. He pulls his hands inside. And to understand that the closer you keep your hands to your body, the quicker you can rotate. If your hands get away from your body, it slows down the rotation. Watch how he comes to the ball and pulls his hands in to be able to get to the ball. That's how you're able to rotate quickly. See, this arm's bent. Even this arm is bent just a little bit, allowing him to catch up to the ball. The way to think about it is, think about a figure skater. When a figure skater goes into a spin, the figure skater pulls the hands close to the body and spins. And when they want to slow down, they take their hands away from their body. It's the same thing with hitting. If your hands get away from your body, it slows down your ability to rotate to get to the ball. The closer your hands are to your body, it allows you to get to the inside pitch more quickly.
And we don't often have those figure skating allusions
I thought we were
during
thinking
Sunday Night Baseball.
Dancing with the Stars or something else was going to come out now.
I thought we'd have a little like Christy Yamaguchi tape we could have gone to there.
If we'd been thinking, we would have had that ready.
The whole library of clips that we have back in Bristol, and we didn't bring the Christy Yamaguchi.
Little Scott Hamilton rotating there, and Brian Botano.
Yeah, but as soon as he hit it, I remember thinking, Scott Hamilton. And that's off the glove of the Twin shortstop Punto. Now digging for second is Corey Hart, and he's in there. Great hustle by Corey Hart. Things can happen like this on the artificial turf at the Metrodome. So he turns a ground ball to short into a double.
Well, he had to bust it right out of the box. You don't make this from first base to second base. You make it from home plate to first base. You bust it right there. You see the deflection, and you keep your speed up. And notice he did not take a wide turn at either coming into first base or rounding first base. Read that ball perfectly.
So he is now in scoring position with 2 down. And Matt Gamble, the rookie third baseman, who tonight is the designated hitter, will come to bat. And now the Twins, Mauer, the catcher, and Punto, the shortstop, out to converse with Scott Baker on the hill.
Well, Gamble, top young hitter in the Brewers organization, a third baseman by trade, but at times tends to struggle defensively. But they thought, listen, with interleague play, we need a bat, particularly a left-handed bat for the right-hand dominant lineup. Gamble gets the call, a kid that has already hit his first big league home run.
He's doing extremely well in the minor leagues, hitting .336 at the time that they brought him up. There's Ken Maka. Maka says that his glove work doesn't quite match his work with the bat yet.
Well, he had a year in A-ball. He made 50-plus errors.
And that's back to the screen.
But there's speculation that maybe someday he'll be the third baseman here, although there's thought that with another young prospect they have coming up to play shortstop, J.J. Hardy could move to third base. And there's talk that maybe if they can't sign Prince Fielder long-term, he did sign a 2-year deal, that maybe Gamble becomes the first baseman and they trade Prince Fielder to land a pitcher.
Well, they've already moved one, Ryan Braun, who could not play third base, to left field.
That one's into left field. Delman Young And the inning is over. Hart stranded at second. Joe Creedy, who made the nice catch on the pop foul by Prince Fielder, will be coming up. 1-0 Minnesota. Bolstered, I think, by a lot of Brewers fans who've come over from nearby Wisconsin. This is the border war, the Twins and the Brewers, and a lot of families on this holiday weekend with a night out together at the Metrodome. Here is Joe Creedy against Dave Bush, and a fastball off the outside for ball one. 1-0. The Twins are leading. Creedy made a very nice play on the pop foul by Prince Fielder to lead off the Brewers half of the inning. Creedy takes a changeup too low, and Creedy kind of took one away from Prince here, took an at bat away from him. Prince thought maybe he'd still be up there.
Well, that was a great point Steve made about how far he had to come. He slips on that little cement area there that they kind of wash the field and drain it right there at the end. But great job. You know, you think about running to a spot or you run as hard as you can, and he had to time that because the ball and the wall all were going to arrive at the same time. He timed that perfectly.
And I like that sort of plaintive stare by Fielder over there. Like, are you kidding me? He caught that ball. Creedy with a base hit into left center field. Hustling over is Braun from left field, and Creedy has a single. But that reminded us of an earlier Sunday night baseball game against the Cubs at Miller Park. Reed Johnson was in right field for the Cubs. This looked like a game-tying home run late in that game. But look what Reed Johnson did. He robbed him. Spectacular play. And Reed Johnson saving that one for the Cubs, and Prince said, hey, that's a good play, man.
That soft padding on the outfield wall allowed Reed Johnson to kind of leverage himself up. He's not the tallest of outfielders. Able to kind of put his spikes into the padding and boost himself over the wall.
I guess if you're Prince Fielder, you've hit 50 home runs in a single season. You know when you've hit one, right?
Yeah.
And he robbed him. And that, by the way, that would have been a grand slam. His first grand salami.
It's kind of odd that Steve and I agreed that you know when you hit one, that he never hit one in the big leagues, and neither did I. Well, but we immediately agreed with you, John, when you know that it's gone.
The one thing we do know is that would have been out in the new Yankee Stadium. Right? I mean, they're sailing out of there like crazy.
Dave Bush with a 1-ball, 1-strike count to Busher. And the count is 2-1. With Creedy at first, nobody out here in the second. The Twins already leading 1-0 on a home run by Joe Mauer. Yankee Stadium. What was it before today? 22 games and 80-something home runs. It was
on pace for over 300. Mark Teixeira broke a bat, snapped the bat today, and hit one out to left field.
It snapped in two.
He's carrying the knob of the bat to first base. It snapped and it went out of the ballpark.
I'd save that knob of the bat if I was Mark Teixeira and kind of label it as a home run number 8 in the 2009 season.
3-1 the count to Busher. Brendan Harris on deck, and strike 2. It's a full count down, 3 balls and 2 strikes. The all-time record for home runs in a ballpark in a single season is 303. And even then you have to kind of put an asterisk by, because that occurred at Coors Field in Denver pre-Humidor. And that was probably the liveliest ballpark in the history of the game. Maybe until now. There goes the runner, and it's ball 4 to Busher. So Creedy easily into second base. Second walk allowed by Dave Bush. Major League Baseball on ESPN Tuesday night at 8 Eastern as the Cardinals will face these Milwaukee Brewers. Then on Wednesday night baseball, presented by Smirnoff Ice at 8 Eastern on ESPN2, the Yankees face the Texas Rangers. Ron Washington's Rangers atop the American League West. ESPN News will be shown in the Texas area. It'll be Adam Wainwright on Tuesday night on ESPN for the Cardinals against Jeff Suppan, the former Cardinal, going for the Brewers. And Wednesday night, A.J. Burnett will go for the Yankees against the Rangers' Derek Holland. And Steve and Oro will be heading off to Milwaukee for the game on Tuesday night.
Get to see the day game there tomorrow when we fly in, and then do the game Tuesday night. We will be well prepared.
How about Chris Carpenter coming back? He's making a start against Giovanni Gallardo tomorrow. He came back and was dazzling. Didn't go back to the minor leagues on a rehab start or anything, and just shut him down.
Here's Brendan Harris, 2 men on, nobody out, and the fastball is up and in, ball 1. Bush did not seem real sharp right now. Carpenter, 5 shutout innings. His first start since a week into the season. 3 hits allowed, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. Up against Gallardo tomorrow. Gallardo, one thing for sure, when you face Gallardo, you have to get Gallardo out.
That's right. He has 2 home runs this year.
Bush looking Creedy back to second base.
Well, this is an atypical event for Dave Bush. 2 walks and 53 innings pitched coming into the night. Here, 2 walks and 27 pitches. He is an efficient strike thrower. 14.6 pitches per inning. 4th lowest in the National League coming into this game.
He's averaged less than 2 walks for every 9 innings for the whole season. And 2 in the inning plus so far, 2 of the first 6 hitters already in this game.
Well, he has a very unorthodox delivery, and be very hard mechanically to think about how to fix him. He kind of arches his back and short arms it. And he's got great eye-hand coordination.
Counsell, they get 1 at second, and they get 2. Nice turn at second base by McGee. Over to third goes Creedy.
Well, the thing about throwing strikes is you always are 1 pitch away from getting 2 outs when you have a man on first. This chopper to Counsell, he does a great job. That turn is clean, but it all comes back to throwing the strike with a moving fastball. Even though it was up, it had good movement and got the ground ball.
This has been a problem, even though they've been scoring so many runs here the last 3 days. Twins have scored 37 runs the last 3 games. Second base, shortstop, they're not getting any production at all. Harris has only driven in 8 runs all year. Here is Delman Young, just back with the club. His mother, Bonnie, passed away of cancer earlier this week, and he has been with the family. The funeral was yesterday. This is his first day back in town. He said he had been taking some batting practice, but it's his first day back in uniform and back with the ball club. Ball is knocked down there by Rivera, the catcher, holding Creedy at third base.
I mean, he's been laid off for I guess close to 10 to 12 days now, so he's been out. And, they have a bereavement list now in Major League Baseball that if you have to leave for a death in the family, you have 3 to 7 days to be gone. And after that point, they play shorthanded. So the Twins have been playing shorthanded. And he would not have been in the lineup tonight if not for Denard Span coming in and not feeling well today. But maybe an opportunity for him to make a statement.
He had a spectacular batting practice as he chases the high fastball and misses.
Well, I was so impressed with him before the game, got to see him, and I walked up, shook his hand, told him my condolences, and the young man looked at me, asked me how my life was going, asked me of how I like pitching coaching compared to announcing. I mean, he was engaged, and it was very impressive.
Runner at third, 2 down. Twins lead 1-0. And the curve is bounced foul. Now, he hit several shots halfway up or more out in left field, which is a pretty good tape measure shot in this ballpark. But he's only had 2 extra base hits all season, and I was kind of kidding around with him. He hit one that he went about 8 miles. I said, hey, that one almost went out. And he says, and he laughed, but he said, well, doing it in the game now, that's been a problem. Only 1 homer, 1 double for him so far this year.
It was an issue for him last year at times as well. They wanted to drive the ball a little more, and he still kind of feels for it, kind of that inside-out swing. But I think as big and strong as he is, the next step in his development is to look at a count, look at a zone like we've seen Joe Mauer start to do, and drive the ball.
Yeah, and keep in mind, he is only 23 years old. Delman Young. Ooh, good tight slider for the strikeout. Joe Creedy stranded at third. They had 2 men on and nobody out and did not score. Scott Baker back to the hill with a 1-0 lead.
Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, brought to you by Chevy.
Sunday Night Baseball from the Metrodome. We're indoors on a spectacular Memorial Day weekend. Everybody out and about. This is a beautiful area. And when the sun is shining, people get outdoors, except if they want to come to a Twins game. Then they still have to come indoors, and that is why the Twins are building an outdoor ballpark. And a lot of folks here from over in Milwaukee and neighboring Wisconsin. This is the border war, they call it. Scott Baker in the hill facing Mike Rivera, and he blew a fastball right by him. Rivera, then Bill Hall and Craig Counsell. Rivera is hitting .333. He's only had 21 at bats. Usually the catcher is Jason Kendall, and I mean usually as in just about every day, 7 days a week. And Some of the Brewers fans are doing a "Let's Go Brewers" cheer, and Twins fans are booing them.
A little shout down here in the Metrodome.
Ken Maka, the new manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. So lots of folks that you might ordinarily catch over at Miller Park in Milwaukee here at the Metrodome tonight. And Rivera fights off that high fastball to stay alive.
Well, you look at guys' numbers, and I always look for what do they mean. Well, you've got a pitcher that's given up 10 home runs to the same side hitter, to the right-handed hitter. That has to mean something. It can't just be coincidence that right-handers are pounding him at a rate they never did in the past.
Yeah, his location has been off, especially away to right-handers.
Oh, beauty. Slider struck him out.
Well, there's two ways to throw strikes. You can throw strikes and just have control, or you can throw strikes and have command. Now, command is the higher level of throwing strikes because it's command within the strike zone. It's hitting your target and making your pitches with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. It's throwing a 1-2 breaking ball low and away, or a fastball on the corner and hitting your spot. And then it's burying even a 2-1 breaking ball to get somebody to swing and miss. That is command, throwing strikes in the strike zone, but also hitting your spots.
Here's Bill Hall now. And a called strike on the outside.
And when Scott Baker is on his game, that is where he excels, with the command. Not only throwing strikes, but the command. Control, though, is another thing because he gets ahead of hitters, but the control of just throwing another strike, that can hurt you.
Now, he's been getting hurt in pitchers' counts. Is that a byproduct of throwing too good of a pitch?
Well, the philosophy with the Twins is to throw a lot of strikes, but if you continue to throw the strikes in the middle of the strike zone, once you get ahead, you got to remember, once you're ahead, the hitter wants to swing the bat. He doesn't want to strike out. And if you make a mistake, and that was not one, he goes right up the ladder. But a mistake when Scott Baker is doing poorly is a strike more to the middle of the plate. So now you get ahead, you're 0-2, and you look to make your pitch, but the ball creeps back over the middle and gets hit. That's control. He's throwing strikes, but he's not making his pitch. This one right here, good movement, but that ball is up. Remember, up in the big leagues could be 6 inches, 3 inches too high. And then 1-0, trying to get back in the count, but no, just lay it in there in the middle, and Dye plants it in the left field bleachers. Strikes, but not quality strikes.
Craig Counsell looks at a called strike, and it is 0-1. So far tonight, he doesn't seem to be having those kind of issues. Although, if you're a Twins fan, you say, oh, yeah, but we've seen this over and over again, where he looks great, and then all of a sudden he gives up 4 in a minute. Base hit there for Counsell.
Ron Gardenhart said, he had no hit stopped one night, then all of a sudden, 5th inning, it just got away from him. So the big inning has really been where he's had a problem. But what we saw the 2 previous strikeouts in this inning, we saw a breaking ball in the dirt, which is something that Rod Gardenhart said they hadn't seen. The breaking ball's been up. And then he sailed the fastball higher than high up out of the zone to get Hall to chase it out of the zone. So he was able to make pitches that were his pitches when he was working ahead in the count.
You got to remember, when you have your one bad inning, it is probably from the stretch. He has pitched very well from the windup this year. And it's the stretch where the difficulties are and the most important pitches you throw.
This is only the second time he's pitched out of the stretch tonight. He had with 2 down in the second. Corey Hart hit a double. The retired Matt Gamble working from the stretch. Now he's facing Casey McGee out of the stretch. McGee fouled out to the right field at his first time. With Counsell at first and 2 down. Kadire in fairly deep right field, plenty of room. 1 hit, 1 left. Punto, and then the top of the order coming up for the Twins. Gomez and Joe Mauer, 1-0. Twins lead. Joe Mauer hit a home run in the first inning. Mauer is showing some of that great talent, which seems to be blossoming more than ever before.
Joe Mauer makes this game look easy, and it's not easy. And I think that's one of the things that I think we have to continue to reinforce when we see guys like him come back off the disabled list. You know, he's hit 10 home runs in the month of May. He smiles all the time. He's happy all the time. He's as humble a guy. But he makes the game look easy. And I think that one of the things we have to continue to realize is that it's not easy. And, you know, one of the things we're going to try to talk about a little bit in this game tonight is the reaction time that a hitter has while it makes a decision about the ball coming out of the pitcher's hand. The first thing you do as a hitter is you see the ball, picking up the release point. Then you have to recognize the type of the pitch. Is it a fastball? Is it a curveball? Then is it a ball or a strike? And then you have to make a decision.
Well, in this case, Punto made the decision to swing, and every Brewers infielder chased after it, and finally it was the second baseman McGee who caught it. Punto on one pitch has been retired.
Well, when you pop it up, maybe the decision should have been to take the pitch right there. And then we talk about it. You go through this, and there are a lot of different things that happen, but in such a short period of time, from the time you see the ball to decide is it a ball or strike, fastball, curveball, and should I take or should I swing? Joe Mauer makes it look easy.
Mauer on deck is Carlos Gomez, the leadoff man, stands in. A slider from Bush in there for a strike. Gomez grounded out to short his first time.
The thing that people do not realize is that almost every major league hitter is swinging on every pitch, but he's deciding if he's going to take.
A squibber, and it stays foul, and Bush, with the speedy Gomez running, made sure that it stayed foul.
It would be impossible to decide to swing, to read the pitch, and then execute the swing if you had not already started a portion of the swing, at least the loading mechanism.
You've got to get your hands back to the launch position so you're moving, but while you're moving, all of the decisions are going on in your mind. Is it a fastball? Is it a curveball? Is it a changeup? What's the velocity? What's the location? Oh, is it a ball? Is it a strike? And oh, am I swinging or taking this pitch? There's a lot of things going on in a very, very short period of time.
But that decision takes place in a fraction of a second, basically. From assuming you don't know what's coming, nobody's tipped you off about it.
Somewhere around 36 100ths of a second, is it?
I think it's much less than that. From the time it leaves the pitcher's hand to the time the guy starts the swing.
The decision process.
The actual decision made to, okay, I'm swinging, I'm letting it go here. Maybe a quarter of a second, thereabout. Gomez battling it out here with Dave Bush trailing in the count. 1 ball, 2 strike. Mauer on deck. Jammed him. He's got a piece of it. Stay alive.
Well, because of that short time sequence we talk about hitting, that's why people think that the hardest thing to do in sports is to hit a major league fastball or a major league slider, is to hit a baseball.
A round ball with a round bat, traveling 90 miles per hour with movement.
And the big slow curveball strikes him out.
Well, let's take a look at the Joe Mauer home run, and let's go and look at the reaction time that Joe Mauer had when he hit that pitch coming out of Dave Bush's hand. Here it is coming out of his hand. Now he's saying, I see the ball, but now I've got to recognize fastball, curveball. Is it a ball? Is it a strike? That's less than a quarter of a second. He's making the decision now. All right, I'm going to swing. And then to generate the swing, you're talking about 0.19 of a second, 19/100ths of a second to get the bat to the ball once he's recognized the pitch and that it was a strike.
So that's bat speed. But the decision, all the decision making that you talked about, that occurred in
0.23.
Yeah, less than a quarter of a second.
Now, the one thing to remember, hitters go up there thinking, I'm swinging. It's not a decision of once you see the pitch, am I swinging at it or am I going to take it? I'm swinging, and then you tell yourself, take, if you're not going to swing.
All right, he told himself to take right there.
Yes, he did. Well, let's take a look from behind, the real-time view of this. How quickly that pitch gets in, and then how quickly that pitch gets out.
It was apropos that he hit that one up toward the picture of Kirby Puckett out there, because Kirby was the last Twin to go from hitting very few home runs to becoming a legitimate slugger the next year. He hit 4 home runs one year,
1985,
and then the next year hit 31 home runs and became one of the all-time great Twins and in baseball's Hall of Fame.
One of the keys to hitting really is the loading prior to seeing the ball out of the pitcher's hand. If you watch most hitters, when the pitcher breaks his hands on the mound, the hitter begins his load. So Justin Morneau on the on-deck circle is trying to pick up the release point and time his load for Dave Bush.
And after showing that slow curveball a couple of times, he busts a high hard one, a check swing by Mauer, and on appeal, Charlie Rutherford said, yeah, that was a check swing. So now it's a full count, 3-2. There's Morneau on deck. Another Twin slugger. The power is up. They moved Morneau and Mauer up his spot in the order. Mauer to number 2, Morneau to number 3 Thursday. They've been scoring a ton of runs ever since. Back to the curveball, down the left field line. Another base hit for Joe Mauer.
I'll tell you, that is such good hitting. We saw him hit a cut fastball on the inside part of the plate and drive it into the upper deck for a home run. Then he gets a 3-2 curveball. Watch how he keeps his hands back. He waits. That slight hesitation to be able to keep his hands back. Watch, he waits, recognizes curveball. I've got to keep my hands back, and then just go the other way with it. This guy is one of the most phenomenal hitters you're going to see. If you're a young hitter out there and you want to try to exemplify somebody out there that you want to copy, he's the guy. He's the guy to imitate. Great balance at the plate, great recognition, keeps his eyes and head still.
Well, the thing that impressed me the most is that side shot of him hitting, the separation between his hands and his front foot, like stretching a rubber band. If your hands and your feet go forward at the same time, he's fooled on that pitch. But he separates them. The foot goes forward and the hands go back, and he stretches that power, and that gives him that extra time to control time and space and to hit that ball to left field.
Morneau, wow! Hit a bullet right at Prince Fielder, who made a sensational grab of it to end the inning. Prince Fielder will be coming up right after Ryan Braun. The Brewers sluggers are coming up when we come back. Presented by Taco Bell. Morneau, ESPN. All right. We're happy to watch them play, watch them hit, because they are extraordinary, as are these National League sluggers, Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder. The Brewers, we were hoping that we'd be able to see Ricky Weeks, who is having an outstanding start. It looked like he was about to become one of the upper echelon second basemen in the National League, but he injured his wrist and he's out for the rest of the year. Braun rips one into the gap in left center against Baker. Delman Young's got a great arm. Braun with a big turn, but he will not test Delman Young, not this time. First hit of the game for Ryan Braun.
Well, the Brewers against this Minnesota staff have really been trying to jump on the first pitch because Minnesota Twins pitchers are known for throwing strikes and trying to get ahead. Fastball command. And the Brewers have been known this year for their discipline in drawing walks. But the Brewers have shifted a little bit here in this series and have been trying to jump on some first pitches.
Prince Fielder fouled out to third his first time. Joe Creedy made a nice play along the box seat railing down the left field line. And there is ball one.
Well, we talk a lot about Prince Fielder's bat, but how about this play last time? This is a BB hit right at him right there, and that's all about reaction from self-defense and self-preservation. Coming off the base with Joe Mauer, and say, just don't hit me in the chest. I got it, but a nice play. He actually had to check the glove to make sure he had it in there, but good eye-hand coordination right there.
A few scouts writing in their scouting reports tonight that his hands might have gotten a little softer and his feet a little quicker. His defensive scouting report would mainly be a little harder hands and a little slower feet. So that was a good play.
I talked to him earlier in the year when we did the one game against the Cubs and asked him about his defense. He said, that's the one thing I've learned getting a little older, that I need to be a well-rounded player, that it's not just about home runs and hitting, but I need to perform on defense as well. So taking some pride in that.
Prince, despite all his many accomplishments in the big leagues, he's only 25 years old, as is Braun. And that high fastball from Baker is in there for a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike. He has only committed 1 error so far this year in the first 43 games plus this one for the Brewers.
Well, that's the first thing you want is some sure hands over there at first, and then it's about making the ranging plays. You think of Mark Teixeira, Derek Lee, Albert Pujols, the range they have and the runs they can prevent down there at first base with their glove.
Wow. Foul tip. He blew a fastball right by Prince Fielder. I don't know if he could do that again. You think he could throw that same one right there and do that again?
I wouldn't want him to. That was a mistake that he got away with. And Prince is hoping that he sees that one again.
Now, one of the things I'm watching with Scott Baker is how many he gets away with. It's the game of ratios, how many good quality pitches he makes and how many mistakes he get away with.
High and tight. And the count is 3 balls and 2 strikes to Prince Fielder. 1-0. The Twins are leading. Braun is the runner at first. Braun has 3 steals this year. What about Braun? Are you sending him right here with nobody out?
Now with Prince at the plate.
Just in case. They chase him back.
He was leaning a little bit right there, too. And this is a situation that if you are going, you cannot get picked off. This is more of a hit and run where you're breaking but trying to stay out of a double play. You're not looking to steal the base right here.
Well, Prince is up there in strikeouts in the National League. He's 5th. 46 strikeouts. 36 walks, 2nd in the league.
Braun is running. And Fielder fouls one away. Brewers as a team do not do a whole lot of running. They've only stolen 11 bases, last in not just the National League but all of Major League Baseball. And even the little running that they do, they haven't had that much success at it. They've only succeeded on their stolen base attempts little over half the time.
11 stolen bases, 9 caught stealing, and not blessed with great team speed. So Ken Maka runs with a purpose. They're running in this situation to stay out of a double play with a fly ball hitter at the plate.
3-2 the count. Braun goes. And a foul that will go back out of play off to the left.
Well, the thing about running against Scott Baker and Joe Mauer right here is they're trying to throw strikes. And Prince Fielder, with the ball around the plate, Scott Baker has not been good at throwing chase pitches this year, and he is not a chase type of pitcher. So they're going to try and throw strikes, play the percentages, and make Prince put the ball in play. So I don't think it's a bad play here starting Braun at all.
Well, he's 1.25 to the plate. That's Baker. You want to be 1.3 or less as a pitcher, so he's pretty quick. Mauer can throw the ball well. And you got a swing and miss guy in Prince Fielder at the plate. I think you're looking at a double play.
Again with Braun running, a foul. Mauer starts back, but this one is well into the crowd. And it keeps on going. 3-2 the count. Baker has thrown 45 pitches in the game, and 33 out of the 45 have been strikes in the strike zone or swung at. And that's his style, the Twin style.
Yeah, he's showing both qualities, the control and the command so far tonight. Remember, the runs off of him this year with that 6.98 ERA have usually come all in one big inning.
Braun, who has been running pitch after pitch here, his fielder has continued to battle it out with Baker. This time, Baker chases him back to the bag.
Two reasons you pick off the first there. One is to get Prince Fielder off your pitches. He's swinging at every pitch and fouling it off. He's starting to get on you. So throwing the ball to first is almost like a setup pitch to Prince Fielder in the 3-2 count again.
Braun not running. That is a fair ball. Busher the second one. Punto back to first. Double play. So they kept running him and running him and running him, ostensibly to stay out of the double play. And then finally, after that pickoff throw, he doesn't run. Double play ball.
Like I said, I would have been running in that situation. You know what? They end up putting the hold on. Don't have him go. And then Prince tops the breaking ball. Good pitch by Baker there. He went to the 3-2 breaking ball. Got him to roll over the top of it. Didn't stay back. Nice play by Busher to clear. Nice throw on the inside part of the bag to Nick Punto. And an easy double play.
A wonderful clock by both Busher and Punto there. There was no anxiety or rush there. They knew they had a hard hit ball and a slow runner.
And a called strike to Mike Cameron. Shoot out and nobody on. And defense, of course, has been a mainstay of Twins' success as Cameron belts one into deep left center field. Way back there. And that ball is gone. It skipped in for a home run to tie the game. For Cameron, his 9th home run of the year.
So you make a great 3-2 breaking ball to Prince Fielder in a tough situation. You get a rollover double play. You get ahead of Mike Cameron, 0-1, and then you make a mistake up and right down the middle. I don't know if it's lack of concentration or lack of execution, but that type of pitch has bit Scott Baker all of 2009.
Looked like Joe Mauer was set up away looking for the fastball again on a pitcher's count. The 11th home run for a right-handed hitter against Scott Baker this season.
And that's the 4th one of the 11 that has been in pitcher's count.
Cameron's 250th career home run. And the foul tip by Corey Hart, who hit a double off the glove of the shortstop his first time. Cameron with his 250th home run, and he also has more than 250 steals. He's just the 20th player in the history of the game to have that combination of steals and home runs in his career.
That's a pretty special combination right there. That unique combination of power and speed is a way to impact the game. He's also a Gold Glove caliber center fielder earlier in his career. It's been an outstanding career for Mike Cameron.
We've got to think of Willie Mays in that category, Mickey Mantle, Ricky Henderson. Barry Bonds, Andre Dawson. Quite a list of the 19 he's in there with.
Bonds is the only one with a combination of 500 steals, 500 plus home runs. Also the only one 400. And you mentioned some of the guys who are at 300.
When Barry got to 400. My son was the bat boy of that game and got the batting gloves on the 400. Jordan. Now a sophomore at USC.
And one Oral Hershiser negotiated with the guy who caught that home run ball to get it back for Barry. We'll be chatting with Ken Maka, manager of the Brewers, from the Milwaukee dugout when we come back in 60. First-year manager of the Brewers, Ken Maka from the Milwaukee dugout. Ken, welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Dave Bush out there on the mound, not with his best command, but typically a guy that you love to see on the hill.
Well, he knows how to pitch. He can use that curveball that you've seen tonight to keep the hitters off his fastball. So he'll battle you. He'll change speeds on you. He tries to slow the bat speed down of the hitters. But I'll tell you what, that Mauer guy's something else. He tried to get in on him the first time, didn't work, and then he threw him a bunch of curveballs, still lined one out. So Bush is battling, but those guys are swinging the bats pretty well right now.
Okay, take us through your thinking with Ryan Braun on first base. He was running with Prince at the plate, then he ended up not going. Take us through your thinking in that situation.
Well, you know what? Mauer's got a great arm back there. I ran Bronny 3 times. I was going to give him a pitch off, and there they put it in play. So it was just bad luck on our part.
J.J. Hardy, your regular shortstop, Ken, when's he going to be back?
Well, we're hoping. I don't think he's going to be back tomorrow. He's still walking around a little crooked, so we're looking for Tuesday.
All right, so if he's walking crooked, then he's still going to be out.
That's right.
All right.
Okay.
Ken Maka, many thanks.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, well, that's simple enough. Wait a minute. He's still crooked.
We don't need any doctors. We don't need trainers. We just see which way they're walking.
If you keep curving to the left, you know he's not ready.
Well, and I'm making a joke, but it's not that funny to J.J. Hardy. He's in pain. Hardy was running out a double here on this artificial turf on Friday, and he got to second base, and all of a sudden they noticed he was crooked, and so they put in a runner for him, and he has not been seen since.
Kind of a mash unit with Ricky Weeks now out for the rest of the year with the wrist surgery, and J.J. Hardy with the stiff back.
Michael Kadire, the cleanup hitter for the Minnesota Twins, facing Dave Bush. Kadire hit a double play to end the first inning. Kadire hit for a cycle, single, double, triple homer in his first 4 at-bats here on Friday night. He swings at that curve and pops it up, foul ground. Rivera, the catcher, and one away. The NBA playoffs are on ESPN Monday night. That's tomorrow at 9 Eastern. As the Lakers take on the Nuggets in Denver, Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. The Lakers lead 2-1. Coverage begins on ESPN at 8 Eastern with the NBA shoot-around. Kobe Bryant had 41 points last night. And he has scored 40 or more twice in one playoff series for the first time. Here is Joe Creedy. He led off the second inning with a single. He's 1 for 1. 1-1 to score, and he belts one high and deep to left field. What a shot! High up in the bleachers. 2-1 Twins. Man, that was almost 2/3 of the way up in those left field stands.
Well, Joe Creedy is a great pickup for this team. He plays Minnesota Twins baseball. He's an outstanding defender, and he is a mistake hitter at the plate. Joe Vavra, the hitting coach, said he's starting to come around with his swing. The back feeling better. You see them set up away, and there's an 88-mile-an-hour fastball down in the wheelhouse, down and in. Creedy goes down and just drives it, hitting against that front leg and powering it out of the ballpark.
A swinging strike for Brian Busher, who walked his first time. Joe Creedy, 8 home runs now. 21 batted in. They estimated that ball traveled 418 feet. That's fouled along the left field line.
And hanging around the batting cage day with Joe Creedy, talking hitting. He talked about the 3 different versions of his swing that he has, and I said, which one are you going to use today? He said, the one that works. He picked the one that worked right there.
Joe Creedy, who was an important part of the World Series championship for the White Sox 2005. He was not just a guy who hit home runs. He also was an outstanding defensive player, but probably in that ball club, and they have a lot of good hitters. If there was a big run at third base or second base he needed to have driven in, that year he was the guy.
Well, there's no question about it. He was a clutch player, and really a back problem has been the thing that has limited the numbers he's been able to put up, and it was one of the real risks I thought the Twins took to sign him to play here. Teams always complain when they leave the Metrodome because of playing on this turf. Their legs are sore, their backs are sore. Well, Creedy with a chronic back problem, it's something he really has to gauge from day to day.
Still 2-2 to Busher. One out, nobody on, a run in on the Creedy home run. The Twins wanted him badly enough. They outbid, apparently, or reportedly, the San Francisco Giants to get him. And gave him the 2-year deal. And he, as you say, it's been an adjustment because it has taken a toll on his back. 2-2 the count.
Well, he was their key free agent piece to get a right-handed hitter around the two M&M boys.
He's a very, very quiet guy, and it's taken him some time to get settled into the clubhouse here and kind of get comfortable with everybody. Now he's starting to talk a little bit more to his teammates.
He hung that curveball and walks Busher for the second straight time. And that is the third walkabout by Bush. He rarely walks more than 1 or 2 in a game if he walks anybody.
Well, it's interesting. He gave up the home run to Joe Mauer in the first inning, then immediately walked Justin Morneau. Gives up the home run to Joe Creedy and then walks the next batter. So maybe some feeling of trying to avoid contact rule.
Yeah, it could be. And the other walk was right after a base hit. So all 3 walks have had a hit or a home run prior to him. And as a pitcher, mentally, you want to get the ball in the strike zone. But when they start hitting the one in the strike zone, it makes you want to go for the corners.
Well, the Brewers have had a hard time finding anybody to shut down the Twins since they arrived here on Friday. Runner going, and the ball is fouled by Brendan Harris, who hit a double play ball his first time. They allowed 11 runs on Friday, and then the Twins came back with 6 more runs here last night. Neither game was ever really a close game. 17 runs in 2 days for the Twins against a team that had been extremely hot in the National League and had come in here on a roll for about a month. They were almost unbeatable.
Over the last couple of years, that's been the story for National League teams in interleague play. The American League has dominated interleague play.
Over to second one, and McGee to first. Safe! Harris just did beat it this time, and now Ken Maka is going to come out and get in the face of umpire Dana Sogna. He didn't think so. He thought he had a double play there.
You remember Ron Gardenhire, the pitch in the first pitch, started a hit and run with Brian Busher and Brendan Harris, trying to avoid that double play. Looks like Brendan Harris's speed avoided that double play, but Gardenhire knows that Harris is not going to hit for a lot of power. He's going to hit a lot of balls on the ground on this turf. An easy double play candidate. And he gets what he was worried about, but the legs of Brendan Harris make it bang, bang, and you be the umpire at home. It was safe on the field. Whoa. Maybe safe by a spike. The length of a spike. He might have been out, Steve.
He's out.
You're here on a normal every Sunday night, so you get the ultimate opinion. I'll just go with it.
He looked out to me.
I take it out, too.
Looked out to Ken Maka. And Dale Swain looks like he just came back from the clubhouse, probably checking it on the monitor to confirm that he was out.
Here is Delman Young. And the slider off the end of the bat, fouled. Young struck out his first time.
When I was the pitching coach for the Texas Rangers, we actually had a sequence of events on close plays to tell Buck Showalter when he was out arguing if he was arguing a good point or a bad point. And Don Wakamatsu would run up the tunnel, who's now the Seattle manager, and I would stay on the bench. He would yell to me, and I would give Buck a thumbs up or a thumbs down in a real subtle way. And if it was the wrong call, he'd get off the field in a hurry. And if the umpire got it wrong, he stayed out there a while.
Wow. Now
that's the inside scoop.
Talk about a technical age. Seems like you could probably do that with an iPhone or something now, couldn't you?
Well, you probably could, especially yours. You get a lot of highlights on that.
Now, did Wakamatsu have one of those cans with a string on it that you had the other end of it?
Exactly. And if we needed it fast, he pulled his arms in and he spun really quick, and it came to us.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Don Wakamatsu, by the way, from my high school. Same really? Baseball coach. Hayward High School.
Same time?
He was a
little different.
A couple years after me. But he was on the baseball team at Hayward High. And he had to beat out for the job of catcher a guy named Jack Del Rio, now an NFL coach. So Jim DeSenius, the baseball coach at Hayward High, coached a big league manager and an NFL coach at the same time. The inning is over. Delman Young has struck out twice against Bush. 2-1 Twins. In 60 seconds, we'll visit with Ron Gardenhire from the Twins dugout. Outstanding manager of the Minnesota Twins, Gardy. Many thanks for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Ron Orel here. It's got to be encouraging to see Scott Baker out there making some pitchers' pitches, even the one mistake, 0-1 to Mike Cameron, the blemish, but he really looks like he's making some better pitches and pitchers' counts.
Yeah, we're starting to see the ball get down towards the bottom part of the zone and locating a little better, and that's what he has to do. He knows that. You know, it's not. You can't pitch up in this league consistently and get away with it unless you're throwing 99 like you used to, Orel. You got to throw the ball down, and we go from there.
Ron, we were just raving about Joe Mauer. We saw him take an inside cut fastball, hit it out of the ballpark, then a curveball and go the other way. What does he mean to your team, the impact he's had since coming back?
Well, you know, he controls the game behind the plate. He's got a great arm. He calls a good ball game. He controls the pitching staff. You know, he goes out there when he needs to. And then what can you say about the swing? You know, all over the place. He can hit it everywhere. He's hitting with power this year, and he's hitting whatever, 480. So pretty good.
Gardy, Denard Span had to be removed from the lineup. How's he? Is he available at all tonight if you need him?
Well, you know what? They put him on some medication, I think, and you know, he's been dizzy and lightheaded, and you can't take a chance running him out there. I would guess that I'm probably not going to use him tonight unless he tells me different. I think we'll see how he feels in the morning.
All right. And Kubel, is he available?
Pinch hit off the bench at best. I'd hate to see it. Right now, I think he'll be able to play tomorrow, so he told me he thinks he could go out there tonight and take a swing.
Great. Gardy, many thanks.
All right, guys, thanks.
So you're getting a lot of info there.
We won't tell Ken Maka who's available and who's not available, though.
Although he may have some guy up in the clubhouse shouting to some other guy down in the dugout who's sending signals to him even as we speak.
On a can with a string.
Yeah.
That was Denard Span, by the way, sitting in the dugout. We just saw him a moment ago, right behind Justin Morneau there. I was really hoping to get a look at him tonight. He's been an exciting player for the Twins.
Good-looking young player, both offensively and defensively. He's a web gem a night defensively and done a nice job swinging the bat.
Matt Gamble, 23-year-old rookie and a very raw rookie, just recently elevated to the big leagues. He's hitting .286 in the big leagues, and he's only had 14 at-bats. In one of those, he hit a 3-run homer. That was in his first big league start earlier this week. Facing Scott Baker. A soaring fly ball left center. Carlos Gomez calls off Delman Young and one away.
Well, Scott Baker, control and command, and sometimes you have good fortune even when you miss your place. You see inside but middle of the plate. Middle of the plate up. Middle of the plate up 1-1. Middle of the plate away up, and then one he didn't get away with, Mike Cameron. But it's all about ratios. You're going to make mistakes, but you don't want to make many, because when the hitters get their pitch at this level, as Ron Gardenhire just told us, you can't pitch up here. They'll hurt you.
Mike Rivera, the hitter now against Baker. He's thrown 58 pitches. And the curve a little bit low. He's only allowed 4 hits. He has not walked anybody. And this is a Brewers club, second in the National League in drawing walks. But they got here to the Metrodome over the weekend, and the walks have disappeared. Right center field, and it was Kadire. 2 down. Let's go to Steve Berthium in the studio now for a Sports Center right now. First ball swinging, Bill Hall. Joe Creedy throws him out. And that is the easiest inning of the game so far for Scott Baker. 8 pitches. See you later. Twins leading the Brewers. The Twins trying to finish off a sweep of the Milwaukee Brewers this weekend. Nick Punto, the 9th place hitter, popped up to second his first time. He'll be followed by the leadoff man Carlos Gomez, and then Joe Mauer due up third in the inning as Bush misses with a slider. And the count is 2-0. There is Mauer, who has hit a home run, a tape measure homer into the upper deck in right center field, and he's also singled to left. And Bush is very high. And Bush is on the verge of walking the 9th place hitter, who has a batting average of only 188. His control has been shaky tonight, which is very unusual.
This is the type hitter you go right after. Has no home runs in the last 301 at bats. You just groove it and say, hit it as far as you want, Nick Punto. I'm not going to let you lead off this inning with a walk.
Well, we've talked a lot about Scott Baker's 10 home runs. He's given up 11 home runs. He's given up this year at right here as well. Dave Bush has given up 11 home runs as well. All of them solo home runs.
McGee, and one away. So he came back and got him. Major League Baseball on ESPN Tuesday night at 8 Eastern. Make note of that special night. The Cardinals and the Brewers. Right now, the Cardinals are just a half game back of the Brewers in the National League Central. Then Wednesday night baseball, presented by Smirnoff Ice at 8 Eastern on ESPN 2. The Yankees and the Rangers, the division-leading Rangers. ESPN News will be shown in the Texas market on Wednesday. Adam Wainwright and Jeff Suppan on Tuesday. And Oral and Steve will be there with Dan Shulman.
Dan Shulman, yeah.
8 Eastern on Tuesday, the Cardinals and the Brewers. And here is Carlos Gomez. Ken Maka was effusive in his praise of the Cardinals and just how good they really are. And he said they're only going to get better because they have some of their important players injured right now that they're going to get back later on. Off the fists, Gomez very fast, but thrown out by Counsell. 2 down, and here comes Joe Mauer.
Well, Joe Mauer hits the cutter inside, and he hits a curve ball away. But watch the pitch sequence. He starts him out with an 88-mile-an-hour fastball. But every time he falls behind the count, Dave Bush comes back to the breaking ball. Joe Mauer, as a catcher, might start thinking along with him. And finally, he gets the 3-2 curveball in a fastball count. But every pitch in a fastball count or a hitter's count was a breaking ball. Mauer realizing that, keeping his hands back, and hitting it to left field.
And he rushes him back with a high, tight fastball. The crowd doesn't like it. Mauer homered his first at bat in the first inning, and it was a home run to remember. 437 feet and into the upper deck in right center. That was his 10th home run of the year. So Bush brushes him back after he had hit that outside curveball into left field the last time up there. So you think, did that one just get away from Bush?
Well, I think that was definitely a purpose pitch.
Oh yeah, I think so too. I think that as hot as Joe Mauer has been, I think they're trying to say, look at there. You see Mike Rivera looking at Mauer to see if he might be peeking for location. You saw Mike Rivera there as he's putting the signs down to Dave Bush. He's watching Joe Mauer to see if maybe there's some peeking going on, that he's looking at location, because they set up inside with a cutter and he drove it out of the ballpark. Then they went on the backside with the curveball and he stayed on it, drove it the other way. They're saying nobody can do that. Watch Mike Rivera as he's putting down the signs. He's watching the setup, watching the eyes of Mauer. Catchers don't peek all.
Well, every detail, and he's back there. He's quietly moving inside. He's not really loud. He's not real early. Some catchers have heavy feet when they go to shift, and hitters can feel them or hear them move. So every detail when you've got a guy hitting over 400 being paid attention to.
Ryan Braun in left center. And Mauer finally retired by Bush. On to the 6th inning, the top of the order coming up with the Brewers. Counsell, McGee, and Ryan Braun. John Miller along with Oral Hershiser, Steve Phillips, Joe Morgan with the weekend off. Next week, by the way, we'll be at Wrigley Field, Chicago. The Dodgers, without Manny, up against the Chicago Cubs, who are without a few of their top players right now. And struggling big time. The Cubs got swept this weekend by those red-hot Padres. And the Cubs have lost 7 in a row. There's a ball off the inside. The Dodgers, meanwhile, have a 7.5 game lead in the National League West and have the best record in either league at the moment, 30-15, even if they're losing today to the Angels. Craig Counsell, the hitter. 1 ball, 1 strike. That'll be next Sunday, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. But just always remember, every Sunday we'll be here.
Exactly.
Even if you don't know the game, tune us in every Sunday. We'll have a ball game for you. In the National League Central, the Cardinals, their starters have been lights out lately. Only 4 runs allowed the last 6 games. The Cubs, their offense is lights out in a bad way. And 1 away is Counsell, thrown out by Harris, and that is out number 1. And bad news for the Reds, who have been a much improved ball club under manager Dusty Baker, but Edinson Volquez, their outstanding young right-hander, placed on the 15-day disabled list this week with some back trouble.
Boy, injuries really playing a role in the National League Central. Talk about Aramis Ramirez with the Cubs, and Rick Ankiel just activated now, but Ryan Ludwig working his way back. Chris Carpenter just getting back.
That's a swing and a miss by McGee. In the National League Central, the Cardinals just a half game back of the Brewers at the moment after their loss today. The Reds are only 3 games out, and the Cubs, even with 7 straight losses, they've just now fallen back to 500. We've had 4 ball clubs who, for most of the first few weeks of the season, the first couple of months here, have all played well.
When you have injuries to main players, it's tough to be consistent, but the reality is you're going to face adversity throughout the course of the season, and that's why depth for the organization is so important.
And it continues to mystify me. We're going to do the game on Tuesday night, St. Louis, Milwaukee, and be there. How Albert Pujols can get pitched to. You know, there's just not a lot of protection there. They've had injuries. Why you just don't let 8 guys beat you and allow them to include his bat?
And the slider, strike 3, ruled a swing by the plate umpire, Adrian Johnson. And McGee strikes out, tagged out by Mauer. So 2 down, nobody on for Ryan Braun, the slugging Brewers left fielder. And Baker continues to be sharp. His 5th strikeout. He has not walked anybody. He's only given up 4 hits. He had the one fastball out over the plate that Cameron hit out of the yard, but even that, a home run with nobody on base.
1-5 with a 6.98 ERA coming in. This is when this kind of gets kind of spooky for a pitcher. You've got to battle the ghosts of the prior bad outings. Even though you're 11-4 with a 3.45 last year, your confidence starts to shake. Here you are into the 6th inning with 2 outs, a chance to win a close game, and you want this really bad because it's kind of that you're going to build your new launching pad for the rest of your season to turn the corner.
Ron Gardenhire is hoping that is the way it turns out as well. They need him. They need Baker. That was part of the plan going in to the 2009 season. They were going with an entire starting rotation under 27 years old.
And there's some thought he was going to be the leader. Remember, he got a 4-year contract extension, $27 million back at the beginning of the season. And there's some thought that maybe he's trying to live up to that contract, trying to do too much, overthrowing, ball up in the zone.
On the inside corner with a fastball.
Well, if you let the intensity of the situation be magnified by the contract that you sign, you start to go harder, harder, harder in key situations. That young rotation does not have the veteran example out in front of it as it had before with Johan Santana.
The rotation got a little younger last night. Perkins is on the disabled list right now. Anthony Swarzak came up for the minors, made his major league debut, pitched 7 shutout innings against the Brewers here at the Dome last evening.
That's so good for your development staff in the minor league, your scouting department, to bring a young guy up, give him an opportunity, and know that he was prepared to be successful at the major league level. Joe Mauer talked about what poise he had on the mound. Got in some jams and never got upset, never got flustered out there, made pitches when he needed to.
Braun backs away for a moment. 3 balls and a strike. This is with a 1-run lead. A very dangerous pitch for Perkins, for Baker. A very important pitch to a top National League slugger. Wow. Poured that one right through there. What was Braun doing?
I mean, 3-1 pitch, you got to be looking for a fastball out over the plate that you can drive.
Well, this could be one of those counts where we talk about hitters looking for a zone, and Braun said, I'm going to look inner half and let it go. And when it was outer half, he just took it.
All right. So, not in his zone. 3-2. And he pops it up. Harris. And the inning is over. 7 in a row retired by Scott Baker. He's gone through 6 innings and only allowed the 1 run. Morneau, then Kadire and Creedy coming up. There have only been 14 unassisted triple plays in the history of the game, and 2 of them have been right here on ESPN. Help us celebrate 20 years of Major League Baseball on ESPN by going to ESPN.com and voting for our 20th year All-Star team. Justin Morneau belts one foul deep down the right field line against Dave Bush. Morneau has walked and grounded out to first. We're in the 6th inning. Morneau hitting 3rd in the order. Just a couple of years ago, the American League most valuable player, putting up very robust numbers again this year. Just a little over a quarter of the way through the season, and he's already on pace for another 45 homers and 140 RBIs.
That's all.
And a nice little touch. He's hitting .341 as well, which, of course, pales considerably to his teammate Joe Mauer, who's hitting about .441.
Well, he's come such a long way as a player. I remember a time a few years back where he was struggling. Ron Gardenhire said, you know, he's just not thinking right.
A liner and into the glove of Corey Hart. 1 away. Michael Kadire coming up now, and Kadire hit for the cycle against the Brewers here on Friday. And he did it in 4 at-bats. The first one, a 3-run homer in the 1st inning. Then a double in the 3rd. He singled in the 4th. When he came up in the 6th, he needed a triple, but he broke his back. Hit the ball right down the third base line. But this is the Metrodome, and these kind of things happen here frequently. He got the triple in the 6th inning, the second cycle of the year for the Twins. Jason Kubel had one earlier this year as Kadire was grounded out and is 0 for 3. There's Jason Kubel, who injured his knee earlier this week. But Kubel, a cycle, and now Kadire is cycled. 2 cycles in the same year, and there have been 4 cycles already in Major League Baseball this year before Memorial Day.
And you know, when you talk cycles, I think of steroids sometimes because of baseball nowadays. And Kadire is so careful about the supplements he takes. He saves the bottles until after his test comes back negative to show everyone in baseball what he has taken exactly. So he saves the empty bottles. That's how far people are looking over their shoulders in Major League Baseball now because of the testing program.
Joe Creedy, who homered his last time with a foul pop, just back into the crowd. Well, I'd like to go down and check out those bottles myself, because whatever he's taking, I'd like to have some.
Yeah. Well,
Kadire's hot.
He only takes anything from the National Sanitation Foundation that they recommend and is not on the list. And the players do take vitamins, they do take supplements, but with the testing program, as careful as he wants to be, Michael Kadire actually saves the empty bottles and waits until his test comes back negative.
See, I look at Kubel and I look at Kadire as real depth for this Twins lineup. You know, we talk about Mauer and Morneau all the time, but you put those 2 guys behind them, they have some real depth and some power in this lineup now.
Curveball popped up foul off the third base side, and this will reach back in amongst the customers.
You know, you add Joe Creedy into the mix there. You know, when you're a small market team like the Minnesota Twins, you can't get out in the free agent market and buy power. It costs too much money. You have to develop it from within. So Justin Morneau was a find for this organization, a middle-of-the-lineup guy to hit from home runs. The fact that Joe Mauer now is adding power completely changes the dynamic of their offense.
Jammed him with a fastball, a check swing foul. Sunday Night Baseball, we're at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. The Minnesota Twins, who have been really riding roughshod over all competition the last 3 days. 37 runs, including 20 in a game against the White Sox on Thursday. And they're looking for a sweep of this series over the Brewers in the border war. Tonight, a home run by Mauer, the hottest hitter in the planet right now. That was in the first. And Creedy at the plate right now homered his last at bat in the 4th inning. There's Joe Mauer, and this is Joe Creedy. So they're 2 home runs. Cameron hit a home run in the 4th inning for the Brewers' only run. But right now, each pitcher is starting to settle in a little bit. Each has retired 7 consecutive hitters. And there's Mike Cameron out in center field. The Brewers also need a win here tonight, not only to avoid being swept by their rival across the Wisconsin-Minnesota border, the Minnesota Twins, but at the same time, they're just a half game ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals in a tight race in the National League Central, and they're going to St. Louis next. Well, Joe Creedy, apparently that one hit him, and it was a check swing. The first base umpire, Asogna, ruled, yeah, that was a check swing, so he gets to go to first base, hit by the pitch.
Well, Dave Bush is showing the inside part of the play to the 2 hitters that have hit the ball well off him, Joe Mauer and now Creedy. He's running the fastball up and in. You see the high target by Rivera and the little check swing.
That's the 8th hit batter on the season from Dave Bush. So that shows you he's a guy that knows what he has to do to be successful. He knows he has to pitch inside.
And we feel confident that replay showed that it actually hit him in the hand.
I guess. How's that?
How confident did that sound?
Do we need to look at that again?
Well, he's down there still shaking his hand, so if the acting is continuing, he's in there.
And he's got his gloves off, so there's got to be a mark there.
Still wincing.
Busher is at the plate. He's walked twice already against Dave Bush, and the catcher Rivera out to speak. By the way, the Brewers and the Cardinals meet starting tomorrow in Milwaukee. The Cardinals are going to Milwaukee to start a series tomorrow afternoon at Miller Park. And the Brewers have the Cincinnati Reds coming in before they head off to Miami and then Atlanta. Brewers, beautiful ballpark. We were in Miller Park for Sunday Night Baseball. I think with the first Sunday after everybody's opening days, and what a great ballpark that is.
And the fans have been re-energized by their playoff success last year. Great crowds there. And how about the crowd here tonight, too, at the Metrodome? Great crowd.
And the big crowd here, patted a little bit by all the Brewers fans who've come over.
We were down in the lobby today at the hotel, and a lot of Brewers fans checking in there. I was waiting for you guys for about 3 to 5 minutes. As the rookie on this crew, I wanted to be early. And 20-25 Brewers fans parading through the lobby.
Did they know who you were?
No, they're waiting for you, Steve.
Yeah, right.
And the curveball to Busher in there for a called strike.
But these filled stadiums for interleague play, in my opinion, proves interleague play is still relevant. I know a lot of people want to say, let's do away with it. Let's take a couple years off. The fans tell you that it's still worthwhile to have it because they fill the stadiums, especially for these sorts of rivalry games.
Well, this 3-game series will end up drawing somewhere around 110,000 fans for the weekend series.
And if they weren't playing the Brewers and they were playing the Kansas City Royals instead, they wouldn't have near this crowd. So this is worthwhile. It makes sense to keep interleague play going. The fans say so.
And the Twins, until the last 3 days leading into this game, it's not as though they've been playing well. They were well under 500. They've been on a big losing streak. Runner goes, but the curveball strikes out Busher. Now we head into the late innings, and Prince Fielder will come up against that man, Scott Baker, with a chance to tie the game. The Brewers slugger, Fielder, coming up 2-1. The Twins are leading. Trailing 2-1. The Brewers, who had been winning and winning and winning, but now they are being threatened with a sweep by their cross-border rivals, the Minnesota Twins of the American League. They're trailing here 2-1. And although Baker has had a lot of problems this year, did not have problems giving up home runs to left-handed hitters. No left-hander has taken him deep yet. He's allowed 11 home runs, all to right-handed batters, including one tonight to Mike Cameron. Fielder has fouled out to third and grounded into a double play. So Baker has handled him very nicely. Cameron, who homered his last time, is on deck. And then another dangerous hitter, Corey Hart, due up third. And Fielder has worked the count into his favor now. 2 balls and a strike.
Oh, if you think Ron Gardenhire has a short leash right here, you've got Scott Baker, who's really struggled so far this year. He's got a positive outing right now. The big innings got to him in the past. You want him to have success, but you don't want to leave him out there and let him get in trouble.
And a changeup. Had Fielder out front, 2-2.
Well, the whole feeling of getting somebody up the tunnel, you'll do that with young rookies as they go along, and you find a good outing for them. You get them up the tunnel with a positive feeling. Good on the bus, good in the locker room, good when you eat your post-game meal, good when you're in the training room. And the same thing even with a veteran, a guy you're trying to get back on the beam. Get him up the tunnel with a positive outing, something to build on, to launch from for the rest of the season.
2-2. And a high fastball foul off the left field line. Still 2-2. On the other hand, he's only thrown 80 pitches. Been a fairly, in that way, easy night for him.
He's considered to have some of the best stuff on this team with Joe Nathan and Francisco Liriano. So his struggles have been about that command issue. He's thrown strikes. He gets ahead of hitters. He prevents batters from getting on. But it's those big innings, a little lack of concentration, getting the ball down that has really bit him this year.
And a pop-up. Hurrying back is Punto. With Gomez right behind him, Punto takes it, and Prince Fielder has been contained by Scott Baker. 0 for 3.
You always have an adventure here on pop-ups. The dome with the white ceiling can wreak havoc on infielders. We've seen him field all the pop-ups cleanly so far.
Something happened to Joe Creedy and Ron Gardenhire,
I think it's
the trainer, and he did get hit on that hand.
He did. I think when they're throwing the ball around the infield afterward, I think when he threw it back to Baker, something didn't feel right. He's taking himself out of the game.
Matt Tolbert has gone in to play second with the second baseman Harris moving over to third. Here's the hit by pitch we're talking about.
Well, it's on the right hand, on the throwing hand, and if there's anything wrong with that hand, that shock and that numbness comes out. You see the swelling up there on the knuckles starting to discolor. He's trying to get through it, but probably got to the point where he couldn't grip the ball and not have strength in his hand.
Matt Tolbert now at second, replacing Creedy in the lineup with Brendan Harris moving from second over to third base.
Well, Brendan Harris had 3 starts this week and had played all 3 infield positions, so he goes back to third where he's very accustomed to being with the Twins.
And the curveball up and into Cameron. There is Harris now at third. Twins are really short on the bench now, considering they don't want to use Denard Span, who's got some medication, has got flu-like symptoms, and Kubel nursing a bad left knee. Although Kubel said before the game during BP felt fine. And Gardenhire did tell us during his visit with us between innings, a couple of innings back, that Kubel had assured him he could pinch hit for him if needs be tonight. And they go with a 4-man bench to begin with. One of those, Span, not available. Now Creedy has gone down, so there's only 2 able-bodied players still available on the bench, and one of those is Kubel, that he doesn't really want to use.
He's sitting in a sweatshirt too, which makes me think he really isn't going to play. He's not really ready to play in the game. So I think, you're sitting there with a sweatshirt. To me, if he thinks he can start the game tomorrow, then he should be able to play some part of the game tonight. If you can't play tonight, for me, then you're not playing in the game tomorrow.
You're thinking a sweatshirt means he can't play? That's not like a jacket nowadays?
I would think
he's a jacket. He's got a sweatshirt on over.
It's 70 degrees. We're in a dome.
The manager's got a jacket on. It's not a big deal. People wear jackets indoors, non-pitchers.
I don't know. I think with a hooded sweatshirt, I'd say that he's off.
Okay, 1, 2. Okay. Oh, short sleeves. Jacket. He got sweatshirt, a hoodie.
He got warmed up during batting practice, so he's keeping warm. See?
Look, there's our pitchers next to him.
Well, wait till you see him next year in the outdoor stadium.
High pop fly. And there is Carlos Gomez. And that is out number 2. Time now for our fan experience from the Metrodome of Minneapolis, brought to you by Lowe's. the old Metropolitan Stadium, the Twins' first home. And they moved here from Washington, 1961. First Twins game was April 21st of 61. That stadium was demolished as they opened the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome in April of 1982. It's been the Twins' home ever since. It is the only indoor ballpark still in use. There are some others that have retractable domes, including Miller Park in Milwaukee, Toronto, the Metrodome, the Safeco Field in Seattle, and Minute Maid Park down in Houston. But the new ballpark, Target Field, will open next year with a capacity of 40,000 in the Warehouse District downtown. And we had some cameras over having a look at some of the construction going on over there. Ballpark will be located right near the basketball arena downtown. The Twins will be playing outdoor baseball for the first time since the old Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota, where home plate was, where Harmon Killebrew used to launch those spectacular home runs. Tony Oliva used to win batting titles, and Rod Carew started his brilliant career. That home plate is now in the middle of some gigantic mall. What is it called? The Mall of America?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Corey Hart. And Scott Baker puts him away. Scott Baker has retired 10 in a row. 7 innings in the books for Baker. He and the Twins are leading 2-1.
Alabama was the first ship in Tokyo Bay where they signed the peace treaty. I'm very proud of being a member of the crew of the battleship Alabama.
Fort Snelling here in Minnesota. Originally established in 1870 to serve as a burial ground for soldiers at the post, it became a national cemetery in 1939. Now 436 acres with more than 180,000 graves. The first burial as a national cemetery was July the 5th of 1939. Captain George H. Mallon, who was recognized with the Congressional Medal of Honor. Memorial Day 2009. And Bob Feller, who won more than 260 games in his Hall of Fame career, but he immediately went and enlisted in the military right after Pearl Harbor and lost more than 4 years of his baseball career. And it's estimated, based on the kind of seasons he was having and the kind of seasons he had after the war, that he may well have won 350 games or more in his career had the war not interrupted. One of many, many players who knows what they might have done. Ted Williams may well have been the first to break Babe Ruth's home run record, but not only went away for World War II, but then back again in the Korean War as the ball was hit hard by Brendan Harris, but tracked down by Ryan Braun, one away.
I mean, the Bob Feller story, as I understand it, he was on his way to the baseball winter meetings to sign his contract for the upcoming year when Pearl Harbor happened, and he turned right back around, went back and enlisted and signed up to join the military. And you know, you go back and look, I think that you see there are 5,400 of the 5,800 players on pro rosters on the day Pearl Harbor hit were in the military by January 1945. That many players enlisted and joined to help defend our country. It's an amazing moment I think, for baseball. And the thing that strikes me, and we've talked about Ted Williams and Bob Feller and guys who gave up years of their career. Baseball players who went to defend our country so that we could still play baseball today. And there's some part of me that says, what happened to us? What happened to our game? Baseball players fought to defend our country so we could keep playing. And we now, our best players, we're talking about steroids and drug testing and cheating and everything else that's out there. Something happened between the 1940s and now with baseball and I think the perspective that we have.
And it would be nice to turn back the clock, and guys like Joe Mauer and Justin Morneau are the clean players that are putting numbers on the board that relate back to that era. And it's exceptional to watch these fine young men.
So we pay our respects to all of the bravery, the heroism, the selflessness of all the military men and women who have voluntarily, in many cases, gone out and placed themselves in harm's way to defend the freedoms that we know in this country. And we're here in the baseball capacity, the Twins and the Brewers, and also remembering the role that baseball has played and many great baseball players have played. Delman Young thrown out there on an outstanding play by Bill Hall and an outstanding pick at first base by Prince Fielder, who somehow managed to keep his foot on the bag.
Well, we've seen Prince Fielder with a reaction play earlier in the game on a line drive grounder, and right here Bill Hall, nice olay, and catches it. But watch Prince Fielder, the footwork on the stretch, holding his back foot on the bag just long enough. The ball hits the webbing just as he stretches out. Oh, and he does it. Very nice play. Bill Hall appreciating his teammate, picking him up over there from that E that could have been.
A lot of credit for Bill Hall, as much as he has been struggling swinging the bat, to still make plays defensively and support his team, because it has been a real tough road for the last month or so swinging the bat.
Nick Punto, the hitter, 2 down, nobody on. Dave Bush working here in the 7th inning as Mitch Stetter is warming up in the bullpen. Bush has thrown 108 pitches, and that is unusual for him. It's only the second time in his last 19 starts, going well back into last season, that he's thrown as many as 100 in a game. He threw a lot of pitches early on. His control was not real sharp, a lot of deep counts, a lot of walks, which is unusual for him. But
well, it's not that he's not able to throw that many. It's just he's so efficient usually that he doesn't have to get to this threshold.
Although I noticed as he started this inning, approaching 100 pitches. Stetter got up in the bullpen, so there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of expectation that he would go much beyond 100 pitches.
It does look like he's getting a little bit fatigued right now. Everything's up. He's having some difficulty commanding the fastball. See the pitch count numbers that John was talking about. 110 pitches.
He's averaging 97. He's had only the one game this year over 100 pitches before tonight. That was 113 pitches very early in the season. Stetter continues to heat up in the bullpen.
One of the few ballparks where you see the bullpen is actually in the field of play.
Carlos Gomez, the leadoff bat, coming up now. Punto at first. Now the Twins ordinarily are a team that likes to run, and Punto does have 4 steals. This would seem like a stolen base situation for the Twins. Gomez is not a power hitter per se. I'm sending him. Go. What are you waiting for? Let's go.
Give him the green light, didn't you?
I did.
Well, I'll say this. This is, I think, going to be Dave Bush's last hitter right here. You've got Stetter, the lefty, in the bullpen. You got Mauer on deck, a left-handed hitter coming up. Whether he gets him out this at bat, Gomez out or not, I suspect this will be his last hitter he faces.
You saw Scott Alger, the third base coach. I'm sure that somewhere in there he gave the steal sign. 2-0 the count now to Carlos Gomez. Maybe they just want Gomez to get on base and let Mauer come up and do the damage. That would not be a bad strategy.
Not a bad plan.
Don't go anywhere, Nick. Hold on over there.
John changed his mind. Hold on.
I rethought the whole thing. 2-0 the count. In fact, don't even get a lead. He's hardly getting a lead. I think that is what they do. Whatever you do, just don't go anywhere.
Well, remember the difference in this game right now, one-run game, was when Ryan Braun, who tried to steal 3 times with Prince Field at the plate, held, fielder hit into the double play, they cleared the bases, and then Mike Cameron hit a home run. If Braun had been running and they stayed out of the double play, it would have been a 2-run homer.
And that is in for the strike. 3-1. He'd thrown 7 consecutive pitches out of the strike zone as an indication that fatigue may well be setting in. But Mauer on deck. And Maka checking his little card that he makes out before every game. Ooh, the high hard one blew it right by him. Somebody forgot to tell Gomez, hey, what we're trying to do is get Mauer up here with men on base.
I think you're going to get your wish now about him running.
Okay.
3-2, 2 out.
All right, Nick.
Give him the green light. I'm sure he'll follow you.
Take off, buddy.
Fielder holding him on first.
There he goes. Hit very softly. Tough play. Barehanded, no. And Mauer will come up with 2 men on base. And that will almost surely be the final pitch thrown by Bush. Two men on, 2 men out, and here comes Ken Maka. And Stetter, the lefty, will be entering the fray to face Mauer, the red-hot Mauer. 2-1 Twins. Mauer coming up with 2 men on when we return. with 2 men on and 2 men out. And Mauer trying to do some more damage here. He already has hit a home run tonight in his first at bat.
Well, you know, we've been talking about reaction time for a hitter, and we take a look at Joe Mauer's home run. He hit on an 85-mile-an-hour cut fastball. You see the reaction, reading the pitch, recognition. It's a cutter, it's a strike, and then it's the swing. Just a little more than a quarter of a second on the read. Then you see on the curveball, 0.4 of 1 second, and then you see him taking a curveball away. The reaction time and the swing coming through the ball, traveling deep into the zone, and he punches it into left field. The home run was, I think, a great swing. But that curveball and the approach he had on that, he fought to keep his hands back. He came out on the stride, setting up for fastball, recognized curveball, kept the hands back, and punched it into left field.
And you see Mauer with 2 hits tonight against Busch. Has hit .519 for the year against right-handed pitching, which is otherworldly, but a much more human .269 against left-handed pitching. Ordinarily, for a slugger, you'd say, hey, he holds his own against left-handers, but in this case, it's a profound difference. Now, here's Stetter, who's a specialist at getting lefties out. Left-handed hitters have a .080 batting average against him, and that is in there for a strike.
That could be the largest gap ever left to right, not because of the .269, but because of the .519.
Yeah. Well, Mitch Stetter has one of the best sliders in the game. The opposition 1 for 26 against his slider, so look for Mauer to see a steady diet of breaking ball.
Punto at second, Gomez at first, in the dirt. Nice save there by Mike Rivera. Joe Mauer fan club. I heart Joe.
Joe Mauer talked about counts and situations and why his power is increased. Well, here he will not be trying to hit a home run. If he hits a home run, it'll be a mistake. He's trying to stay on the ball, drive it to left field, and get a base hit.
Off the outside. It is 2-1. Mauer has faced Stetter one other time, and Stetter struck him out. So this is only the second go-round between the two of them. Dave Busch, those runners out there belong to him. That hit him. Or did it? The plate umpire signaled foul ball. And Ron Gardenhire and the Twins trainer come out to have a look at Joe Mauer.
Ron Gardenhire's heart is in his stomach right now. All of baseball would be upset if Joe Mauer was hurt.
Now, Mauer's going to first base, but Mike Rivera is saying to the plate umpire, Adrian Johnson, wait a minute, you called it a foul ball. And now Adrian Johnson's going after Mauer, saying, no, you don't get to go to first base. That's a foul ball.
Well, Joe Mauer's about as mild-mannered a guy as there is in the major leagues. But his manager's not that mild-mannered. And Ron Gardenhire's not going to be happy. He's going to show him the bruise on his hand.
Twins first base coach Jerry White also alongside. Now Gardenhire is getting hot. Going to first base.
Well, it's interesting because Ken Maka, sometimes you'll get foul balls that are not foul balls because they land down by the shoe and they're the old shoe polish. All right, check the ball to see if there's shoe polish on it. Here you have something kind of like that where the ball strikes your hand and you have evidence that it struck your hand even though the call was opposite at first.
Have you ever seen a manager win an argument? Ron Gardenhire won an argument. He went out there. Adrian Johnson, the home umpire, was saying that Bauer had to hit. Gardenhire won the argument.
And that may be what Ken Maka is trying to reinforce here. Says, wait a minute. You said it's a foul ball, and because the manager came out and said, no, he was hit, you must let him go to first, and you said, oh, I didn't realize. Okay. We're going to go back and show that and also listen to it and see what we can hear.
I see the ball just come in on his hand right there and gets him right on the meat of the hand below the outside knuckle. Ouch.
It appears that the right call was made as Morneau, high and deep, right field, way back there, upper deck, a grand slam for Morneau. So Stetter, who had been so good against left-handed hitters in particular, he hits Mauer and then gets hit big time by Morneau. A booming grand slam, and suddenly it is 6-1 Twins. Stetter departs, a new pitcher coming in, Kadire coming up.
77-mile-an-hour slider on the inner half, the breaking ball you want to go wide. And Justin Morneau is not going to be one-upped, is going to upper tank where Joe Mauer went earlier. A little delay, a little argument, hit batter or no. Maka says, oh my gosh, look what you did to my pitcher. And look what you did to the scoreboard.
It started with 2 down and nobody on. A walk to the 9th place hitter, Nick Punto. And now, 4 runs later, the inning continues. We'll be back.
Support prostate health. Get more of what matters to you.
Carlos Villanueva delivering ball 1 to Michael Kadire. Villanueva on in relief of Stetter. Kadire, who is hitless in the game, is hit into a double play, fouled to the catcher, and grounded out to short. So Villanueva, who has been a late inning setup man in front of Trevor Hoffman, and since installed in that role, since the return of Trevor Hoffman, Villanueva has done well. He struggled earlier on as one of the closing options for the Brewers, but once Hoffman got back, he'd been lights out in the 7th and 8th innings, and he was getting ready here for a tight ball game, and all of a sudden, by the time they get him in there, a 2-1 game has become 6-1. Six more runs for the Twins, 43 runs now in their last 4 games since Thursday.
I have to tell you that I'm surprised Ken Maka didn't get ejected from this game. When Adrian Johnson, the home plate umpire, reversed his call, I think he's got to go out there and get in his face. Everybody's got their own style, and Ken Maka is a more reserved manager. But I would have wanted my manager to get out there and get in the umpire's face, because you can't reverse a call. I mean, there's not a video replay. He didn't get help. He just changed his mind because Ron Gardner asked him to change his mind. And I think the other thing it does is, if you argue and get kicked out of the game, it's my opinion, I think you're getting angry and you're getting your team fired up behind you. Now it's kind of like, oh man, we just got a raw deal. And I think they're questioning why we didn't argue it harder to be able to do it. So I would have, if he were my manager, I would, after the game, I'd be asking him, how come you didn't go harder at the home plate umpire? I would have wanted you to let him know that you can't reverse a call on this.
Here is Matt Tolbert up for the first time. Joe Creedy had to leave the game after he got hit on the hand with a pitch, and the hand giving him some trouble, so they took him out. Now Tolbert is in. What it was because Gardner got so upset, and it seemed like the reason he was so upset was because the plate umpire was refusing to reverse the call, and then a moment later he reversed it. It seemed like, at least we weren't listening; we were just watching from up here. But the way it all came down, it did seem that almost as if that's the way it happened.
Well, Ken Maka had 2 chances to really go ballistic. One was after the call was reversed, and the other one was after the grand slam when he went to take Stetters out of the game. He could have waited on the mound and waited for the home plate umpire to say, you know, what's your decision, what's going on, and then go back at him. We're not advocating managers going after umpires, but it's just showing your frustration with the call, with the reversal, with the grand slam, and putting some fight back in your team.
Ken Maka looks like he's saying to him, you changed your call.
And a foul. Now, I've seen umpires change calls before, but changing calls when maybe they ask one of the other umpires, or
well, the evidence
even when the evidence is shown, even that look at my hand, there's a bruise. Okay, maybe that's compelling. But it seemed like Mauer kept showing him the hand, and he was refusing to change the call. And then Gardner went out and got real hot at one point, and then the call was changed.
Once he took his hat off, I think he won him over.
We're ahead to the 8th inning, and the Brewers, who had been down 2-1, now trail 6-1. On to the 8th.
I'm a DoD civilian serving in Baghdad, Iraq with Defense Contract Management Agency. I'm also a member of the 140th Wing, Buckley Air Force Base, Colorado. And I just want to say thank you, happy Memorial Day for all your support. Love you guys.
And thank you, Rebecca. First ball swinging for the Milwaukee Brewers, Matt Gamble. And Nick Punto there is one away. This is already the longest outing of the season for Scott Baker, the first time he's thrown so much as a pitch in the 8th inning of a game.
It's also one of the longest times he's had to sit on the bench while that rally was going on. The argument went on about a half hour he sat there. Well, what kind of impact does that have on him?
Well, it's great that he got a first pitch swing right there, but you can see Ron Gardenhire's got the bullpen ready. They want to get him up the tunnel with a positive outing. 6-1 lead. This guy's 1-5 with a 6.98 coming into the night.
Mike Rivera, the 8th place hitter, has struck out and flied out. That was Ayala, the right-hander, and the left-hander Sean Hand in the Minnesota bullpen. We want to, on this Memorial Day weekend, in addition to honoring our fallen heroes, to acknowledge all of those serving overseas right now, many in harm's way, and we send along our prayers and best wishes to them, and our appreciation for the work they're doing. First base runner for the Milwaukee Brewers since the 4th inning, since Mike Cameron hit a 4th inning home run. In between that home run and this single by Rivera, Baker had retired 11 in a row. But here's Bill Hall, the 9th place hitter, has struck out and grounded out to 3rd. Kadire gets there, throws back to 1st. Safely back is Rivera. So 2 down. He's getting outs quickly here. His pitch count still below 100 for the game. Boys and Girls Clubs of America is the official charity of Major League Baseball, reaching more than 4 million kids worldwide. Together, they create a positive place for kids. Well, now that Justin Morneau hit the grand slam, it's like, okay, I think I can. We've got things under control, and I can just doze off now.
I've got some sleepy eyes in the stands right now.
Justin Morneau at the grand slam right after Mauer got hit by the pitch and all the arguing and whatnot. And the first pitch after that, Morneau planted in the upper deck. Not just a grand slam, an emphatic grand slam. His 13th homer of the year. He's got 40 batted in. And he is the DH tonight, so he's not normally be out at first base holding that runner right now, but instead it's Busher. Morneau the DH, and Busher gets the unassisted put out. And leadoff man Craig Counsell. 8 strong from Scott Baker. 6-1 Twins. showing signs of turning their season around as they lead here 6-1. They are 3 outs away from a sweep of their cross-border rivals, the Milwaukee Brewers. Twins coming up against Villanueva with Busher, followed by Harris and Young. 38,959 the official paid crowd tonight, and just about 110,000 paid admissions for the 3 games in this series. The Twins began the series 4 games under 500, and they just had gone through a 6-game losing streak that they ended on Thursday in Chicago. As Busher pulls one foul into the Milwaukee bullpen area where right-hander Mark DeFelice is warming up. But I'm just thinking now, with watching Morneau hit the grand slam, we already know that he's a great slugger. Jason Kubel's having an excellent start to the season. Creedy was added because they didn't have a whole lot of power. He's got 8 home runs, including 1 tonight. But Joe Mauer has also become a power hitter this year. He's got 10 home runs, hit number 10 tonight. Suddenly this lineup looks like a much different lineup, a lineup filled with power. Going to talk about that, but right now here's Steve Berthium in the studio with the Sports Center right now. Villanueva has been removed after getting the first out of the inning, and now the right-hander Mark DeFelice has come in. But as we check out DeFelice and his numbers, he is the 4th pitcher of the night for the Twins, and he was pitched well. 3-0 with a 1.35 ERA, and in 20 innings, only 14 hits allowed. They paid, a lot of people thought maybe they overpaid for Joe Creedy because they didn't have a whole lot of power. The Twins are more known for their defense and their speed and hitting and running and taking an extra base, that sort of thing. But with Mauer suddenly blossoming into a power hitter, this lineup really, and maybe it's at the Dome, I don't know, because they seem to do a lot of things well here that maybe they don't do as well on the road. But suddenly you see the possibility that this lineup has some depth and it could be a real power lineup. I don't think there's any question about it. That's why I also like Joe Mauer in the number 2 spot in the lineup, because you've got the other guys getting the at-bats a little bit earlier. But Michael Kadire, Jason Kubel on the back end of Joe Mauer and Justin Morneau, that's 4 deep with power guys. Then you have Joe Creedy in there. If Delman Young's power could start to develop as well, they really need that prototypical leadoff man. I'm not sure that they really have him. Denard Span's done a nice job so far getting on base. I'm not sure he's that guy. I think he's better in the number 7 spot in the lineup than he is a 1 spot. Carlos Gomez has the speed, but he's not enough getting on base. But a lot of threats in this lineup. And if those threats can start to come through, then the young pitching starts to follow through, like a launching point of Scott Baker here tonight. You know, 1-5, a 6.98, and then a high-quality outing tonight, doing a good job with his slider tonight, which was outstanding. And I'll tell you what, that fine young man right there is a good pitcher. 11-4 last year with a 3.45. He's back on the beam tonight. 8 innings, only 1 run, 5 hits allowed by Scott Baker. Only 97 pitches in his 8 innings. As DeFelice to Brendan Harris, and out in center field, Mike Cameron. And that is out number 2. Well, Scott Baker tonight was outstanding, and he's had trouble with right-handed hitters. 4 out of 5 of these sliders to righties, and you can see the sharp break and keeping the ball down. Even to Prince Fielder, a lefty, got a ground ball right there. Got him a double play, but keeping the breaking ball down. Fastball command has been an issue, but a secondary pitch that can get people out is a key ingredient also. 2 down, here is Delman Young. And a ball just off the outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Of course, everything looks great when the team starts to hit and they start to win. The Twins have went on their way toward their 4th consecutive victory, if they can hang on to this one, with 43 runs scored in those 4 games. So the team looks pretty good when they're doing all of that. And Joe Mauer may not end up, by the end of September, hitting .450 for the season. But then again, based on what we see tonight, maybe he will. He faces right-handers for sure at that .519 clip.
for righties this year so far.
And it's not bad when you have Justin Morneau hitting behind you.
It'll help. You know, we've seen not just home runs. These were, Creedy's ball was 2/3 of the way up the left field bleachers. You said it was a rarity to see one in the upper deck here in the Metrodome. We only got 55 more home games here. You got 2 of them tonight.
One of them by Mauer out into right center. That was the real rarity. You see him go down the right field line or even straight right field, but right center and then several rows up in right center. That was measured at, or estimated, I guess, at 437 feet for Mauer. Morneau's they estimated at only 420 feet. Creedy's 418 feet. Now, if I'm Creedy's people, I'm asking for a recount.
Who are his people?
Wait a minute. He's 2 feet. He got beat by 2 feet. Is that it? The new guy?
I think the amazing thing is, Joe Mauer, how atypical this is for him this year for these power numbers. I mean, we've seen the development of this young guy and the power numbers and the growth. I mean, you look at how long it's taken him to get to 10 home runs over the course of the years. 131 games, 98, 109, 146, 22 games this year to get to 10 home runs. The power numbers really coming for this young guy.
And Delman Young away for more than a week. His first action, 0 for 4, but no matter. The Twins lead 6-1 as we head to the 9th inning. Out-of-market games per week live on your computer. For more details, visit MLB.tv, where baseball is always on. Scott Baker trying to finish up a complete game. He has not had one since the end of August 2007. He had 2 in his career. The last one was against Kansas City, a game against Kansas City where he carried a perfect game into the 9th inning. The no-hitter was broken up with a single by Mike Sweeney right after he had issued a walk to break up the perfect game. But he finished that game with a 1-hitter and has not had a complete game since then, as a base hit to center for Casey McGee, and the 6th hit of the game for the Milwaukee Brewers. Now the big hitters are coming up with Braun and then Fielder, and in the bullpen the outstanding Minnesota closer Joe Nathan has started to throw. Not much business for Nathan lately, with the Twins either in a losing streak and not having closing situations, or blowing everybody out here in their winning streak.
Only 6 saves so far for the Minnesota Twins. 13 save opportunities. They've blown 7 saves so far.
And Nathan blew one during their losing streak.
And they got swept in New York by the Yankees. That was the tough road trip. Now they're trying to sweep the Brewers.
Here is Ryan Braun. He's 1 for 3 in the game. A pop-up foul. Busher, 1 away. So Braun has popped up 3 times, twice in foul ground, has had 1 base hit.
Oh, you know, we talk so much about the new patience for the Milwaukee Brewers. Well, in the 8th inning, they saw 6 pitches in the inning. Made it real easy on Scott Baker, a guy getting, at the end of his rope. And then you see a fastball up in the zone, kind of jamming Ryan Braun. Couldn't quite catch up to it. Tries to pull the hands through, as we saw Joe Mauer do. But that ball ate him up a little bit, and all he could do was pop it up.
Now, the other Brewers' big slugger, Prince Fielder. He is 0 for 3. And a foul out of play. Prince hadn't really gotten the ball out of the infield. The closest he came was a pop-up to short that Punto had to range back for a little ways. In the 7th inning, he's fouled out to third, hit a double play ball, and hit that pop-up to short.
He's had trouble with the fastball tonight. Baker has made some mistakes to him with the fastball. He's rolled over a breaking ball for a double play, but he's missing his pitches tonight.
1 ball, 1 strike to count to Prince Fielder. 1 out, 1 on in the 9th inning. And the big question right now with the 6-1 lead is, can Scott Perkins finish a game for the first time in nearly 2 seasons?
Baker has been outstanding as far as his location.
And I meant Baker. I keep calling him Perkins. I really wanted to see Perkins. He was on the disabled list. If I'd known Baker was this good, I would have wanted to see him.
Well, next time.
But he was Steve, too, at the beginning of the broadcast.
Well, at least Baker, I think, has answered for us and for all people around the country looking in. You look at this rotation, a lot of people say, well, who are these guys? Well, we're finding out this guy, at least, Scott Baker, is pretty good. That will reach back into the crowd on the third base side.
Scott Baker has been good, and one of the things you have to do if you're the Milwaukee Brewers is capitalize when he makes a mistake, and Prince Fielder has been one of those hitters who hasn't capitalized. The fastball's been up tonight, and Baker has made some of his common mistakes that have hurt him this year, but Prince has missed his favorite pitch, the fastball mid to up, and even got one down there. He popped up, and when Baker got the breaking ball over to him, he got him to hit into the double play. So you get the key guy out, even with some mistakes.
2-2 the count for the powerful Prince Fielder. Left center field, deep, way back there, and gone. Not this time. Prince Fielder gets hold of one, an opposite field homer, his 10th home run this year. 6-3, Twins.
Well, hitters look for timing, and Prince Fielder found his. We saw the fastballs he was missing, but then he finally caught one low in the zone and got on it. Stayed back, drove it the opposite way. Watch from the side, the foot gets down, the rotation, head down, straight through it. And if you've got power at all fields, Prince Fielder short to long, and so does the ball go there also.
And Scott Baker leaves to a standing ovation for the big crowd at the Metrodome. A disappointing finish for Baker, but an excellent night. And Baker, who had the 3rd worst earned run average in the league when the evening began, certainly something to build on. Joe Nathan will come in to try and get the final 2 outs. It's 6-3 Minnesota. We'll be back. Joe Nathan throws ball 1 to Mike Cameron. Cameron, who homered back in the 4th inning, 1 for 3 in the game. So Joe Nathan, who has had great success as the closer for the Minnesota Twins, one of the best closers in the game, this side of Mariano Rivera. And a fastball right by Cameron. 1 ball and 1 strike. Nathan, 2.87 ERA, 15 2/3 innings, 13 hits allowed, 16 strikeouts. But not a lot of work for him so far. The Twins have struggled. And a fastball for a strike.
He is one of the more underrated closers in the game. I don't think people really appreciate, because he's in Minnesota, may not get as much coverage. This guy has a belly full of guts, and he can run the fastball up there. Outstanding breaking stuff. All the talent in the world.
Foul ground, Busher, and just back into the crowd. He almost ended up in the Milwaukee dugout there. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Joe Nathan with 36+ saves in the last 5 years straight. So he is almost automatic. When you think Mariano Rivera, you think Joe Nathan. Just different markets.
Nathan, who is from New York. He was a Mets fan as a kid. And there is the breaking ball. No chance for Cameron on that one. Our Chevrolet player of the game is Twin starter Scott Baker. Baker, 8 1/3 innings, 3 runs, 7 hits allowed, only 1 run through 8 until they gave up the 2-run homer to Fielder in the 9th. Chevrolet proud to recognize today's best and tomorrow's future, supporting youth baseball nationwide. 2 down in the 9th, and here is Corey Hart, who's doubled and twice struck out. And ball 1. By the way, last night, Swarzak, the rookie, 7 shutout innings for the Twins in his Major League debut. Joe Nathan, Major League debut, 7 shutout innings for the San Francisco Giants in a game that I broadcast at Candlestick Park. Of course, they thought he was going to be a starting pitcher. It turned out he was a closer, and not for them. Traded to the Twins in a trade that still is infamous in San Francisco. A.J. Pierzynski went to the Giants, stayed there 1 year, and with the White Sox since. Wow.
Brian Sabian is rarely wrong, and that's one that we'll remember. But he makes a lot of good moves. Joe Nathan was my locker mate, my only spring training with San Francisco. Young rookie sitting next to me. I didn't teach him that breaking ball.
I was going to say, that's a pretty good breaking ball you're talking about there.
I saw the twinkle in your eyes, Steve.
1 ball and 2 strikes, 2 down. Everybody standing at the Metrodome. He struck him out. The Minnesota Twins have swept the Milwaukee Brewers, the first-place team in the National League Central. And now they're going home to take on the St. Louis Cardinals, with whom they are now tied for first in the National League Central. And for the Twins, 4 straight wins on